good afternoon, good morning, good evening, wherever you are today. This family of global activists, policymakers, thinkers, and just human beings who want to create a fair and equal world. The Ubuntu Symposium, I don't need to tell this audience, has been the most ambitious collective activity embarked on as a global alliance for transforming patriarchal masculinities and really doing the important work of engaging men and boys for gender justice and human rights. My name is Redi Tlhabi. I'm your moderator from Johannesburg, South Africa. And I'm so delighted and honored that you thought I should be part of this closing ceremony, having joined your symposium, your third symposium, which happened late last year, which was aptly called Ubuntu. And it was about advancing the political agenda towards transforming masculinities and engaging men and boys in advancing women's rights, gender, and social justice. Okay, I think that it's very, very important that we reflect on how meaningful our gathering is here today. It's not just a closing ceremony, but it is a way of reflecting on how you've all been a part of this effort. Many of you have contributed to an unprecedented level of discussion, reflection, and recommitment to action across MenEngage Alliance globally, beyond our immediate borders. So this closing ceremony really is a celebration of the expertise, the heart, and the learning you have contributed as participants, session organizers, and speakers. It's a unique opportunity to also reflect on the symposium's goals and Ubuntu Symposium journey that we've been on together. The event will set out a path for the future of this shared work to make it more accountable, more accessible, more intersectional, more transformative, and more impactful for a world where all people are equal and free from discrimination. I think that before I give you all the housekeeping rules and the interpretations, the sign language information, the technical information, I do want to emphasize the very themes that brought us together throughout our gatherings, and that has been accountability, intersectionality, transformation, and power with. So even as we close today, those themes continue to play a pivotal role, and they continue to be important. So join our discussion via the Zoom chat box, Twitter, follow the hashtag Ubuntu Symposium hashtag, add the hashtag to your tweets, and if you like, you can have Twitter up, another device, and read some of these tweets as they come along. I'm going to be tweeting, and I'm going to be commenting as well, and I'm going to be sharing the perspectives that are coming from different parts of the world. So I hope you've got all those housekeeping rules and that we can get going with our program. But before we do that, I want to know where you are in the world. I was so excited when I joined, and so many of you were saying so-and-so from Cairo, so-and-so from Cape Town, from Johannesburg, from wherever you are. We welcome all of you, and we are looking forward to our engagements. I'm excited about our connection with Rwanda, which worked so marvelously. There'll be some high-level panel discussions that will be hosted by our friends in Rwanda. But right now, I would like you, all of you, wherever you are, to unmute yourself. Unmute yourself right now. Are you all unmuted? Okay. Now, everybody, say hello in your language and tell us where you're all at the same time.
It stays. It stays.
Teddy from Cameroon.
And they're from US.
From Nepal.
From London, from
Uganda.
From Cameroon.
From India.
Lahore, Pakistan.
That's just beautiful. Okay. Absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Thank you so very much. It was lovely to hear an eclectic mix of greetings and languages. India, Cameroon, Senegal. We heard you all, and we are grateful that you are with us. Just a map of what will be happening in the next couple of hours. We are going to spend the first hour just really reflecting and doing some key takeaways and future directions from 7 months of organizing. We're going to hear the live address from Kigali. I told you all about it. There is going to be some music, because what is a gathering without music? But in this time of COVID, we unfortunately cannot have live performances. But Ingobansha, women drummers of Rwanda, have a beautiful inspirational musical piece for us that has been pre-recorded, and we're going to play that for you. We have some participatory activities. The floor will be open for you to share your reflections and so on. But the one part that I'm truly excited about, we are going to end today's gathering, our closing ceremony, by launching the Ubuntu Declaration and Call to Action. This is about looking ahead. A landscape analysis will take place, but what does the future look like? And how do we contribute to this world that we want to see? Right now, let's go to our colleagues in Rwanda who have come together in a hub in Kigali. And I would love for you to give a round of applause for Ms. Thaina Ange NDIZEYE. Thaina, you've got the floor.
What a wonderful afternoon in Kigali. Ladies and gentlemen, as she mentioned, my name is Ange Thaina NDIZEYE, and I'm the moderator from Rwanda. I'm very grateful to be here today. And as you said, we are going to take a quick snap of the room and say hello, send our warm greetings and love from Kigali. Hey. Hey. Hello. It's been a wonderful journey, and we are very excited about the conversations and discussions that will take place today. Without further ado, Redi, allow me to welcome Mr. Venant Nzabonimana, currently Chairperson of the Rwanda Men's Resource Center, who will be shortly followed by Ms. Ange Marie Yvette Nzabonimana, the Remnant Youth Coordinator, for their welcome remarks. You're welcome, sir.
Thank you so much. The Deputy of Head of Mission and Development Cooperation at Swedish Embassy, the Youth Coordinator of Guamunet, all protocol observed, ladies and gentlemen. On behalf of Guamrek, it is an honor for me to welcome you all to the closing of the 3rd Global MenEngage Ubuntu Symposium. It feels like it was just yesterday that I welcomed you to the opening of the Ubuntu Symposium in November last year. The past 7 months, we had the opportunity to hold exciting conversations and issues, support committees, etc., have been a part of the symposium. Very early last year, the initial plan was that the Ubuntu Symposium would take place for the very first time in Africa, and precisely in Rwanda. We held a planning meeting in Kigali in February, following which we got hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. The organizing committee then had to rethink the shape and schedule of the conference, and we opted for conversations that would take place virtually from November 2020 to June 2021. The kickoff took place virtually at the global level and in person in Kigali from 10th to 12th November 2020. We as Rwamrek are very happy to say that we are so thrilled to have been a part of all these processes, preparations, and discussions. The shift from the in-person event to the virtual one was quite a challenging process, but also a very good learning session that is going to help us improve the work that we do in our respective organizations from now on, I believe. I think you will agree with me. I say that despite the challenges, we have been the past year in an exciting time in learning. We are learning that learning and working can also occur effectively outside the classrooms and the office. Our time since the kickoff of the symposium in November has really been precious. We have had so many experts in the field of men and masculinities, women's rights, gender justice, climate justice, militarism and conflicts, and so on, sharing their expertise and knowledge with us, helping us to reflect on the work that we do, our limitations, and the inspiring practices that we can all learn from that to achieve stronger outcomes for our communities. All these conversations have led us to this moment now, when we want to clearly restate to the world our commitment to fighting discrimination and abuse and promoting gender equality, as well as express what it is we want to see happen ahead. If you have not actively been a part of some of the conversations, remember that the people you are with today, the people that joined this closing event, are the same people that have been on the journey with us the past 7 months. They participated in the same conversations and presentations. They share the same values, and they are working to advance the same agenda. So please make time to connect and plan to network. I hope we all have a fruitful and pleasant meeting today, and welcome you all to this closing ceremony. Many thanks to you all.
Honorable Minister of Gender and Family Promotion in Rwanda, Deputy Head of Mission at the Swedish Embassy in Rwanda, the Chairperson of RAMREC, all protocols observed. Mwiriwe, bon après-midi, and good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Allow me to start saying warm welcome to all of you present in this event here today, and also a warm welcome to participants joining us online. The time has come for us to close the Ubuntu Symposium, and I just want to say first and foremost, thank you so much to MenEngage Alliance for making this event possible, for the vote of confidence in us as an organization, and also in Rwanda as the venue for this grand conference. The past 7 and 8 months, despite the challenges brought by this COVID-19 pandemic, we demonstrated that effective, large-scale global cooperation and collaboration is possible and alive. As government, civil society actors, development partners, experts, and activists working in the human rights and social justice area, we were able to come together for months, share so much knowledge and best practices, and draw a joint call for action, a strong declaration that can help transform the lives of people if we all commit to realizing the actions that we are advocating for. We can't think of this call of action as the outcome of this symposium. By continuing to work together, to collaborate, to share, we think that is the only way that we can do that call for action and learn from one another. The way that you have been doing all these months, as we said, that's the way that you can realize and put into action the declaration and call for action. So as we celebrate our achievements today, let us commit to the work ahead of us, and let us also commit to keeping ourselves accountable. Allow me to share with you one or two highlights from the Rwanda MenEngage Network. As we mentioned at the opening event of the symposium, the Ubuntu means the connectedness that exists and should exist between people. Ubuntu reflects the understanding of the essence of humanity. It refers to acting in ways that positively benefit the community. Rwanda MenEngage Network is a network of 29 members in which we find 10 youth-led and serving organizations. In line with the symposium, the network provided a small amount to members of the network to help them be able to participate in the online sessions. And one of the organizations, the member of the network, organized two different sessions that were virtual, that raised awareness of the Ubuntu Symposium and increased the participation of young people aged between 18 to 30 to participate in the online sessions of the symposium. Excellencies, partners, allow me to close with a very warm and heartfelt thank you words to say to many people we have collaborated with over the past year. In addition to the MenEngage Alliance, that we very much appreciate for its never-ending support for enabling this forum and for all its efforts to fight injustice and abuse, I'd like to sincerely thank all the partners and donors. This could never be possible without your support. We highly value your contributions and partnership. We say a big thank you to the organizing committees, being global and national, for their impeccable organization and for ensuring the symposium proceeded smoothly despite the very challenging past year, as we all know. Your commitment to the success of the symposium have been remarkable. We are most grateful to the organization individuals, speakers who participated since November last year till now. Thank you very much for delivering such important messages and for sharing your expertise with the rest of the world so that all of us can deepen our knowledge. Just as importantly, a big and warm thank you to all the participants who joined since last year, November, till this end of the symposium. Together, we made the Ubuntu Symposium a big success. Finally, on behalf of the Rwanda MenEngage Network, I'd like to convey my sincere gratitude to the commendable efforts of our government through the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion to develop our country and to create a gender-just society free from violence and discrimination. Thank you. I hope we all enjoy the day, and as we celebrate our achievement and close the Ubuntu Symposium. Thank you.
Thank you very much. We would like to thank the chair, Ramrek, and the youth coordinator of RAMNet for setting the tone for today's discussions. And I would also like to acknowledge the presence of Rwanda's Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, Honorable Professor Jeannette Bayisenge, who will be speaking to us shortly. Redi, if you allow, I'll give it back to you to introduce the next item of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. It really is inspiring to learn from Rwanda, to be inspired by the work that you are doing, and also being inspired by the purposefulness. And I say this because when you have leaders who sit in cabinet and they are preoccupied with the themes that have brought us here together, it shows decisive political leadership and augurs well for furthering our political agenda. Thank you so very much to my colleagues in Rwanda. We're going to hear from you as we go along. All right, now we are going to move along and introduce you to somebody who's very valued, whose leadership has been incisive, whose leadership has been inspirational. Yes, he's a father, but he's passionate about engaging men as caregivers. We're going to hear from the outgoing chair of MenEngage Africa, Hassan Sekajoolo, who, even as a communications professional, he's preoccupied with what to communicate, how to use activism, how to use feminism, how to use these expertise to create a more equal society for men, for women and men. And of course, we know that he's an experienced trainer in the fields of feminism, gender, and violence, including violence against women. So you can just imagine that this is indeed the kind of leadership that MenEngage has benefited from. So a pleasure to welcome the outgoing chair of MenEngage. Hassan, over to you.
Hello to everyone who now, internationally, but also how do we make sure that moving forward after this Ubuntu Symposium, we inculcate the spirit of I am because you are. We are on a continent that is still volatile, that still has conflict, that still has gender gaps. So it is important for us to have hosted the Ubuntu Symposium because then it gives us a strong platform to start the conversations, take the conversations into the peace and security sector, take the conversations into community mobilization, take the conversations into harmful practices. How do we eliminate harmful practices? How do we continue to teach everyone? How do we make Ubuntu an anthem to the politicians? How do we make Ubuntu an anthem to the policymakers, an anthem to all practitioners, so that in whatever they are doing, they still think I am because you are, because that is the basis of humanity. That is the foundation of our being on this planet. So for us as MenEngage Africa, all the 22 countries, we have been taking this opportunity of the 7 months to learn a lot. How do we take this conversation in the different spaces? How do we get more people on board so that we keep singing the anthem, I am because you are. And we are confident if we make this an anthem on the continent. So for us, Ubuntu Symposium is that moment to influence policy. How do we use 7 months? How do we influence policy? 55 countries on the continent, and you just count 7 that have progressive policies in terms of gender equality. And you celebrate a few of them who are managing to close the gender gap. So for us, it's work in progress, because then we have to continue to influence policies on the continent. We have to continue to influence practices on the people who believe that I am because you are. Thank you very much, Redi.
Thank you so very much. Thank you, Hassan. We really appreciate that. And thank you for reminding us of our connectedness. You know, often when I look at the ills that plague the country of my birth, South Africa, I find that our activism is always based on how an issue affects us immediately, how it affects us directly. So if you don't think that gender inequality or violence against women affects you immediately, you don't see it as an issue on which you should speak up, an issue you should invest in. But if we are connected as peoples of the world, we do know that whether I'm experiencing it immediately in my private space, in my own world, does not negate the fact that I'm affected by it because of our shared humanity. And I am because you are because I am, says that we are connected to each other by an umbilical cord, by the human chain that requires all of us to care about our society. Thank you so much for that inspiration and that intentionality as well. Thanks indeed for that. Okay, we are going to cross the floor to Rwanda in a few minutes, but not before we watch this video with highlights of our time together from the symposium. We did say that today is our closing ceremony. We are talking about the future, how we move forward, how we amplify our voices in this space. But this work can be overwhelming. It's very easy to just focus on what we're not doing right, what we're doing wrong, and get overwhelmed by the mammoth task ahead without pausing to reflect on and even celebrate the collaboration, the transnational nature of the work that we're doing, the expertise, the activism. So at this moment, let's just pause and watch this short video with highlights from our time together during the symposium. Have a look.
Having to host an online global symposium. I mean, in the previous years, we've had it face-to-face, but this time around, having it online, mobilizing 22 countries to stay tuned and to follow the symposium.
We would have wished, of course, to be physically with all of you.
It's a real pleasure to be together virtually.
Bueno, es la primera vez en mi vida en que un simposio dura tanto tiempo, 8 meses.
I promise you, it is going to be exciting, inspiring, moving and challenging.
It's great to be part of this global conversation. And
you have speakers who capture everything, all of the emotions, all of the positivity.
We have people from all around the world.
We have had a very wide range of discussions.
Of youth leadership.
On gender equality.
Basic human rights, dignity.
Parenting.
A different society.
Inequalities.
Pobreza.
Economic justice. And exclusion.
La justice sociale.
How we are daring to be transformative in co-creating a new world, a new language, a new thinking.
It means that more men must become allies. Men need to step away from patterns that preserve patriarchy, and men need to uphold an environment that empower women and girls.
When we talk about, toxic masculinity construct, patriarchy, and we talk about, system changes, but what do we really mean? What exactly we mean? And it's breaking those down.
I will insist in the word transition, because we are starting to talk about going to a new world, a new way of doing things.
Lo que estamos cambiando es un discurso patriarcal que se refleja en la sociedad, indiferentemente el actor que lo viva.
How can we make political processes and organizations more politically coherent between their values and their practices?
Over the years, we have been discussing why that we need to engage men and boys. And that we really knew that when it comes to this symposium that we wanted to move into how to engage men and boys.
Panels like this inspire you so much because you realize another world is being built and it is coming through.
Okay, well, crikey, what do I do?
All right,
Can you put your video on?
Your mic is on mute.
Hello? Yes, now we can hear you. That's wonderful.
Yeah. Sorry, Hassan, your connection is quite bad.
Together, we can transform power for the benefit of all.
So I would really like to thank the speakers who brought some very substantive issues to this very interesting dialogue in terms of collaboration, power sharing, interconnectedness, intersectionality. So thank you so much. And we really look forward to see that these commitments and sharing of ideas takes roots in many of the countries and the communities that we work in.
It was absolutely incredible, just remembering where we've been and the solidarity. I think what I love the most is exactly that, that every corner of the globe is part of this conversation. So we're doing something right. And being in your space, a safe space, a space of inspiration really, really is worth reflecting on. And I repeat what I said earlier. It's very difficult to look back and give yourself a pat on the back because you are afraid that you may get complacent. But I think in this work that you're doing, it is important. It is important to think of how significant it is that MenEngage has brought over 600 speakers over a period of time who are all grappling with this global issue, that you have created an alliance, a global alliance made up of men and women, different identities, different races, culture, youth. I think that that is incredible, and it is something that should inspire you for what lies ahead. So thank you so much for putting that video together. And I love the moment of vulnerability, because sometimes we pretend that in this tech space, everything goes smoothly, but all of us privately think something could go wrong. My mic could go off, the audio could be off. I really love that moment where the organizers are just being vulnerable and telling each other your mic was off or your visual is off and all of that. I think that's part of our new reality. So thank you for making yourself vulnerable and sharing that with us. Let's go back to Rwanda, and our MC in Rwanda is standing by. We look forward to hearing from the ambassador of Sweden, whom you told us briefly about in your introduction. Thaina, over to you.
I couldn't agree more with what you said. It's been a beautiful experience in its own way. The challenges, the vulnerabilities shared, and the way forward that we are going to be discussing shortly. So it's with pleasure that from Rwanda, I'm welcoming the Deputy Head of Mission and Head of Development Cooperation at the Swedish Embassy of Rwanda. And that's Mrs. Christina Wedekull. Over to you.
Thank you very much. Honorable Minister Bayisenge, change agents and friends from the MenEngage Alliance across the world, ladies and gentlemen, dear all, I am here because you are, working together for our common goal. And I'm really honored and generally happy to have been invited to speak at the closing of the MenEngage Global Symposium. And the issues that have been in focus during this symposium are all central for working together and creating a better world. And I could just join the chorus. I loved the video. It was really, really great. Ubuntu, I am because you are. It highlights our interdependence and the importance of engaging across divisions to achieve gender equality and social justice. It speaks to the need for compassion, joint responsibility, and humanity at the very core of being and in tackling global challenges. 2, feminism, gender equality, a prerequisite for addressing pressing issues. Just as in Rwanda, where I am right now, gender equality is a top priority in Sweden. And this is why Sweden, in 2014, adopted the feminist foreign policy as the first country in the world. And the aim of the feminist foreign policy is to combat the discrimination and the systemic subordination that still characterizes everyday life for countless women and girls all over the world. It aims to strengthen the rights, representation, and resources of all women and girls wherever they are. 3, engagement and commitment, a prerequisite for gender equality. To do this, we need men engagement, and we need the commitment of men allies. We need role models. Men are critical change agents at the individual level and at the macro level. And men are enablers for a conducive environment for women and girls, and to help put an end to gender-based violence and discrimination. And by highlighting accountability, the MenEngage Alliance encourages men to take action and to combat gender discrimination wherever it occurs. Speaking up for women and girls, offering women equal opportunities in the workplace, sharing the domestic burden at home, and becoming more active and present fathers, and taking action against sexual harassment and discrimination. All these are key examples of actions through which men can make a difference, a huge difference, and promote positive masculinities. I really salute the engagement here in Rwanda. Because it offers a momentum for making change happen. Together we can and must create better opportunities for women, challenging negative social norms wherever they persist, and promoting inclusive and intersectional approaches for gender equality. 4, reversing the negative impact that the COVID-19 pandemic has had on women. The COVID-19 pandemic has disproportionately affected women. And as a result of the pandemic, there has been a rise of women falling into poverty. And we witness, unfortunately, an increase in gender-based violence in Rwanda and elsewhere in the world. And there's also an upward trend of teenage pregnancies, and women and girls have been left out of education opportunities, as well as a work market. So I think it's fair to say that women and girls have to be the central stage as we now build back better and greener after the pandemic. And let me take this opportunity to highlight 3 pressing issues that are high on the Swedish agenda. First, ensuring the fulfillment of sexual and reproductive health and rights. This is a prerequisite to engage women in opportunities and to make well-informed decisions about their future. As confirmed in the Maputo Declaration, sexual and reproductive health and rights and poverty reduction are mutually reinforcing. So in the efforts to recover from the socioeconomic impacts of the pandemic, sufficient resources needs to be allocated to this area. Second, strengthening women's access to finance, to income-generating activities, as well as jobs with career progression. Last week, the Swedish Embassy here in Rwanda, we hosted a democracy talk on women in media. And during this event, key barriers of female journalists were discussed, such as the low pay and high levels of sexual harassment of female journalists within their workplaces. And this, I would say, is a good example of an area where men need to step up to ensure non-tolerance against sexual harassment at the workplace and also support career progression of women. Third, addressing the double burden of time for women. Domestic responsibilities alongside work responsibilities leave women with limited time to recover and look for new opportunities in the workforce. Men sharing the domestic burden is vital to allow women to free up time to pursue their dreams and their career. And this is needed for women and men to be equal in the workplace. And it is a prerequisite for women's health, as they currently accessing less hours of sleep than men due to their domestic duties. Fifth, together we can transform power. The last, 7 or 8 months since November have offered an excellent opportunity to discuss and share learnings, as well as reflections on feminist approaches and how to best engage men and boys for gender equality. The events organized by the Ubuntu Symposium have provided a solid basis and not least an inspiration, and it's now up to all of us to continue building on the learnings from these events and to continue engaging men and boys for gender equality and social justice. We need to work together, join efforts, join hands. And I really would like to end by thanking the Global MenEngage Alliance for bringing such a width of actors and change agents together. The inclusion of men is and will continue to be pivotal to achieving gender equality. And this global network is unique in its ability to engage men over the world, to question power structures, to break the cycles of harmful practices, and to stand up for humanity. Together, and I will say it again, together we can transform power for the benefit of all. Thank you so much, everyone.
It is indeed true that together we can transform power and use it for the benefit of all. And that I would like to now welcome Honorable Professor Jeannette Bayisenge, Rwanda's Minister of Gender and Family Promotion, her address of the day. You're welcome, Honorable.
Excellencies, heads of different organizations, ladies and gentlemen here present in this room, and those following us virtually from across the world. Because of different time zone, I say to you all, good morning, good afternoon. It is a pleasure to join you again as we officially close the third MenEngage Symposium. I was privileged to initiate a few months ago. I'd like to extend my sincere appreciation to MenEngage Alliance for the tremendous efforts made to develop mechanisms to promote gender justice and engaging governments. Many thanks to Rwanda Men's Resource Center and Rwanda MenEngage Network for their support in organizing this conference in Kigali in these very difficult times, and for their usual cooperation and partnership with us. I thank you for hosting an inspiring audience, and we welcome all distinguished people who have spent past months sharing their knowledge, expertise, and who joined us today. Distinguished guests, gender equality and women's empowerment is critical for social, cultural, economic development processes. Equipping men and women, boys and girls with necessary knowledge and skills is the right path to achieve sustainable development. Recently, Rwanda ranked 7th globally according to Global Gender Gap Report from World Economic Forum 2021 in closing gender gap. In addition to the legal and institutional frameworks in place, such as the dynamic gender machinery that is composed of the Ministry of Gender and Family Promotion, Gender Monitoring Office, National Women's Council, and Forum of Women Parliamentarians. In addition to this strong gender machinery, we can see improvement in various sectors such as education and health. Women are gaining economic independence and contributing to their own empowerment and their families, hence the development of the country. When looking at the statistics, we see that 92% of women are financially included from 87% in 2016 versus 93% of men. Despite these achievements, we still encounter persisting cultural barriers, gender stereotypes grounded in a patriarchal society that limit women and girls to embrace opportunities and enjoy their full rights. In addition to those challenges, COVID-19 has reversed some of the hardly gained milestone in the sector, but also widening at the same time the already existing inequalities between men and women, such as limited access, usage, and control of digital platforms. It is against this background that the government of Rwanda has recommitted to address those gender inequalities through different initiatives and partnerships with regional and global communities. Currently, our national gender policy was revised. It was approved by the cabinet in February 2021 to strengthen the role and engagement of men and boys in gender equality promotion and women empowerment in Rwanda. In the same vein, this next fiscal year, from July 2020 to July 2021, I think it's 2021 to July 2022, we are planning to develop a national MenEngage strategy. And through this strategy, we will ensure the role and contribution of men and boys in gender equality, and your technical support in this strategy will be very much needed to make sure that we tackle all the angles and no one is left behind. At the international level, Rwanda has joined the Generation Equality as a co-leader of the Technology and Innovation for Gender Equality Action Coalition to close the gender digital gap among men and women, boys and girls. This is a UN Women initiative bringing together different stakeholders to tackle and finish the business of the Beijing Declaration and Platform for Action of 1995 by adopting a series of concrete, ambitious, and transformative action to achieve immediate and irreversible progress toward gender equality. So Rwanda has made commitment in this regard that we are to achieve by 2026. Before I conclude, we all agree that gender equality cannot be achieved by women alone or men alone. It requires consistent effort from both men and women, girls and boys. In Rwanda, we can see engagement of men as obvious and a needed strategy in the fight against the GBV and promotion of equal rights. We believe that actively engaging men and challenging traditional masculinities will lead to lasting behavioral change and will help to break the cycle of GBV as well as contribute to gender equality. As I officially close the Ubuntu Symposium, I hope all the work done in the past month will help us to strengthen the field of gender justice and GBV promotion. And I hope we leave this venue today. Of course, those who are also following us from online, with a new sense of commitment to this cause and new avenues that we want to explore. I wish you all success in achieving our main vision of living in a world of equal opportunities, respect, and dignity for each one of us, men and women, girls and boys. I thank you all.
Thank you very much, Honorable, for reminding us all that the government of Rwanda remains committed to this cause.